Hello and welcome to the Yarnings Podcast. I'm Christine and I'll be your host. It is Tuesday, November 4th, and you are watching episode 33. Welcome to November. We are into a little more cloudy, rainy season, and it's still in the mid-50s, and that's not bad. And my husband was still wearing a short sleeve shirt when he left this morning, so it must not be too cold. I haven't left the house a lot the last few days, but last time I really left, well, I guess I made it out a little bit in the drizzle, and that's okay. So, let's get this podcast started. I'm calling this episode CustomFit, and you will figure out why pretty quick here. But first, let's do some life stories. I wanted to thank you guys for some really nice, kind feedback about the podcast that I recorded with Erin last week. I had such a nice time getting to sit here and chat with her, and I hope we can do that again. I have guested on her podcast back when she had an audio podcast. And I don't know, I guess that was when I had my audio cast as well. We recorded at least once or twice from a Red Robin, which is kind of a theme for us. We do enjoy having lunch together. So this weekend, I went to after trick-or-treating party. My sister-in-law and brother and their kids and another friend from church did their trick-or-treating, and then we went over to her house and had some dinner and played some games and got to see all the kids' costumes, and that was really nice. I didn't wear a costume, but I dressed up in purple and green, and I wore my everyday is Halloween socks, which I thought I would show off. And surprisingly enough, even though every day is Halloween, I only got to wear these once this year. Somehow, I didn't coordinate getting them worn beforehand, and now it's November, and I might wear them anyhow. But they are fun. This is Out of Step Dye Works, and I think Erin and I talked about it last week, that she has the same yarn or another one from the same dyer that we got at, I think, the second Sock Summit. So those just went back on the floor. They need to be washed because I did wear them. I don't wash my socks religiously every time that I wear them, but this time I was wearing them without shoes for a little while, and so they could use a good bath. I wash my socks on the gentle extra low agitation cycle in my washer with soap or whatever wool wash I have at the time, and then dry them on my Socktopus. I don't know if I've showed you guys pictures. It's my IKEA laundry hanger, and he has little clips. So that was Halloween. We played The Resistance, which is a party game. It's kind of one of those ferret out who the spy is game, and it's not my kind of game. It was interesting to play, but it's certainly not one that I would normally jump up and down to get to play again. But then we also played a quick game of Splendor to show it off to Chris, who also likes board games. So that was fun, and I like that game so much. And then after that, my weekend was taken up by multiple days of migraines. So I haven't gotten as much done as I would like to. But that's how it goes. So I'm working on recovering from that. It's kind of been a long process this time, and I'm feeling a little better today. So that gives me a little hope that it is on its way up. I do have some knitting though. All right. I do not have any finished objects this week. I did go through and take some time on Friday to enter in some of the info on some of the things that I have recently finished. I had a bunch of things that needed to have details entered, like the modifications I'd made to my sweater and some actual pictures of it being worn. So I got some of those in, and then I was able to enter into a couple different knit-alongs. I keep let me show you. I keep a document in Trello, which is it's a to-do list kind of app. It's a lot of glare. So I write up the knit-alongs that I want to participate in, and then as I finish them, I move them into the different forums. You can click on something, and it doesn't like that I'm holding onto the screen, apparently. You can click on something and drag it to another list. Yeah, there's just too much glare to get it to focus. And drag them around and stuff. And so then I have details in each of these, like all of the items that are eligible for the Geeky Girls knit along. And so then I can go through and write comments when I enter them in. I haven't actually entered any of my info into that cal yet. I've been thinking a lot about it as I've been working on the things, but I want to go and write fun autumn stories about my items. So, I did get some of the things entered in that needed to be done by the end of the month. One of my stripey projects for Stocking and Zombies, and the Rhinebeck sweater for them as well. And it seems like there was something else, but sometimes that just takes a little coordinating to get the time to sit down and get the data in there, finish adding the rest of my photos and all that. So that was fun. So Trello, that's the name of the app that I use. I was using it for meal planning. I still use it a little bit for meal planning, just not as heavily as I was before. When I started having problems with Evernote, this was the one that I moved to for many of my note-taking efforts. So I'm kind of using that in conjunction with my bullet journal to organize things. So I will show you the work in progress that I have in my hands right now. Maybe I could even put them this way. These are my vanilla socks. These are the candy, I do that every time. Candy corn sock yarn. This is No Maker's Sparkle Sock. And I'm doing my normal vanilla sock where I do normal toe, fish lips kiss heel, which is so cute. And now I'm onto the leg. I knit on these a lot while I was playing games on Halloween, and I was really happy to have a Halloween-y project to work on. So they are coming along, and I think they might be folly enough that I could wear them Thanksgiving-ish. But if not, I will have something awesome for next October, and I love candy corn, so it's perfect. So that is the first work in progress. Let me slide myself over here. I'm trying to move a little bit less than normal because of my migraine, so the chair is helpful. My second work in progress is my color affection. It didn't get quite as much love this week, but it grew a little teeny bit. I counted before I started, I have 12 purple stripes right now. Yeah, I've still got a bit to go. Oh yeah, because I passed the midway point of where I cast it on. That one's just been hanging out in the middle of my knitting. So that is coming along. This is in Knit Picks Shadow Lace Weight in Clementine, Spring Green, and something wine related. I don't remember the purple name. That might just kind of hover to the back burner for the moment because I have 2 new projects. Ooh, aren't you excited? I feel like I'm a little slow today, guys. My brain is just not quite going as speedy as I'd like it to. All right, so let me show you my something new. All right, first up, just a quick glimpse of my swatch. Whoosh! So I swatched for something that I was excited about possibly designing. And the swatch came out so awesome, and I was so excited. So I'm going to let you in on a little bit of my designing. I wrote a whole bunch of Post-it notes while I was working on the swatch, and then I took them and created a page in my bullet journal that contained all of the notes. And I finally felt happy enough to go ahead and cast it on in something real. Oh, let me grab this. This is Sheep Spot. This is the Sustainable Merino Fingering, and it is 100% merino wool. I was offered to get to try this out from Sasha Torres. She is the former host of the Spin Doctor podcast, and she is such a kind person. I've met her, I think, at both of the Black Sheeps that I went to, and she's so nice. And so I am trying out this yarn for her. This is a gorgeous colorway. There's pinks and corals and greens, some slate blue. There's a little yellow. And first, it wound up just lovely. I put it on my Swift and just whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. It was perfect. I didn't have to do any futzing to get it to go into a ball. And then I cast on. And casting on lots and lots of stitches is not really a problem if you have lots and lots of stitch markers. Some people don't like casting on a lot of stitches. I don't personally mind because I know if I'm knitting something long ways, I'm going to look at you through the middle of this. If I'm knitting something long ways, there's not very many rows to do. So I can cast on a lot of stitches and then work my way just a nice short ways, and it turns into something beautiful with very little rows to work in. So I will show you more as I go along. Right now, I have just a wee little pattern detail coming in there. The colors are looking fabulous. Let's see if I can get it to focus just a little better. Maybe not. But the colors are looking fabulous. When I have a little more done, I'm sure it will be easier to show you. I have about 5 rows right now. But I was pretty proud of myself to spend some time getting it cast on because I'm really excited about it. So I'm hoping to let you guys in on the process as I get this started, as I get to enjoy the yarn from Sasha, and then I'll probably publish the pattern when I'm done. So this was a really excited start to a work in progress for me that I got going yesterday. Oh, I'm going to attach these 2 things together. So I bet you're wondering why this episode was called Custom Fit. Maybe not. You've heard me talking just a little bit about this. So at the beginning of the year, I had a goal to start making sweaters that fit me better. And one of my resolutions on the 2014 Stockinette Zombies Cow was to try Custom Fit. Custom Fit is a program. It's a framework where Amy Herzog, the designer, has put together patterns of hers and just general patterns, like pullovers, cardigans, scoop neck, V-neck, those kind of choices where you enter in a swatch of what you want to use. Where is my swatch? It's so cute. A swatch of what you want to use. This is mine. And I've got it all outlined because that's how she recommended. I probably could have made this a little taller, but this was what I did. And I washed it as I normally would and loved the fabric that it did. The yarn on here is leftover of my Vesper from my dubstep socks from earlier this year. That was fun to get to use a little bit of that leftovers to line it because the turquoise popped out from the brown nicely. This yarn, no, let me tell you more about the process. So you do a swatch, you enter in all the details about the swatch, you measure yourself, enter in all the details about yourself, and then you pick what kind of pattern you want to do. And then it takes all those details, like magic, and puts together the perfect pattern for you. It lets you choose, is this really how you want it to be? And once you click OK, make the payment, it sends you a PDF. So I had my husband, we went through the little CustomFit body measurements this weekend, and I had him go through and help me take my measurements. I got feedback from a couple people that I shouldn't just take the measurements on my own. So I had him help me, and I tried to do it with no judgment to the numbers, just that this was the information that I needed to make a sweater to fit me right now, my body as I am. And the process went pretty well. You were supposed to tie some strings around you at your waist and on your arm at a certain point, and those kept sliding on me. So we had to keep adjusting those. I think there's still a pen mark where I tried to just draw the line on my waist. But I have a good set of numbers now, and I was able to get that all entered in, and then I chose the pattern that I wanted to knit, which is the Alta sweater by Amy Herzog, and that's a recipe. So you buy a pattern on the CustomFit website, and then you buy the recipe. And then you have two different PDFs. One tells you how to adapt the blank canvas that the site generated. So that's working pretty well. So then I cast on the back of my sweater. And I have waist decreases. Where are my markers? I have waist decreases that are showing up over there underneath that pretty knit cubby stitch marker. And I am almost at the point, I'm within a row or two of starting the armhole shaping. That's pretty exciting. I really like the detail on at the top of the ribbing. She has you do a garter row. And that looks really cool. I really like how that transition goes. Let's see if I can. There, that's a little better. I know that I should just be following the pattern, but the default settings that it wanted me to select were a little bit higher of a sweater than I normally would wear. So I added an extra inch to make it be just slightly down a little farther. And then I started the decreases up just a little bit farther, so that then my decreases will go up a little higher, because my smallest point is up here, rather than down here. So I figure as long as I am doing it consistently with the front and the back, that a little bit of modification will be good for me. Even though I'd like to see how it works as the default, the measurements that it spit out for me for the best size for my shoulders and for my hips had my waist a little bit smaller than my actual size. And I don't really want negative ease on my waistline. So by pulling that up just a touch, I think that's going to make the average fit work a little better for me. I'll keep you guys posted. So I am alternating skeins. It's coming out pretty nice and modeled. I just didn't want this is Blue Moon Fiber Arts Woo-Boo, and there's always a little difference between each skein, even though I bought them at the same time. So I thought alternating was going to be a good plan. So I have 2 big skeins, 2 big cakes of yarn inside my Rose City yarn crawl bag. It's got all the names of the shops that were part of it last year. I really liked the logo that they had last year, so I had to buy a bag. So that was the right size for my 2 giant cakes of yarn. And I also listened to 2 different podcasts in the last week or so that helped me push me along my way to be getting going on this. And Emily from Knitting Butterflies had an interview with Amy Herzog that was great. And Knit FM had an interview with her as well. They're getting ready to start, or they just started their featherweight cardigan CustomFit knit along. And that was that's kind of a cool idea. I've kind of wanted to make a featherweight. And now that I have all my data in the system, I definitely am going to want to make another sweater based on her stuff. There's a couple that I added to my queue. One was from Kim of Indigo Dragonfly that is 3 different colored stripes. I don't remember what it's called right now, but that was really cool. So there are definitely some great designers out there that have recipes for custom fit, and that's pretty exciting to think about, being able to extend the input that I've given into more than one sweater. So more as I go along with that. I think that with a little more work, I'll be done with the back. I am probably trying to do this for NaNoSueMo, National Knit a Sweater in a Month, knit along. If I don't, that's okay too. Since I've knit the back of it, what day is it? It's the 4th. I started on the 1st. I might finish it today. There's definitely a theoretical chance that I could. The front and the sleeves both have more detailed stuff on them. There's cool cables up the side, and then a beautiful cable placket in the middle of the front. So it'll definitely take me a little more time, and I haven't done a lot of detailed cabling, so it'll be fine though. I cable without a cable needle, and I enjoy it, so I'm looking forward to that part of it. Okay, so the next thing on my list, Cecily Glawick McDonald of Winged Knits, that's her blog and her pattern company, I think. She's having a sale on her patterns right now, so you can go over to her blog and look at that. I picked up a few patterns. I really like her stuff. I have knit 3 of her patterns, I want to say. So there were a couple that I have yarn already picked out for in my queue, and I just didn't own the patterns yet. So I splurged a little bit and went ahead and got a few, and so I'm looking forward to making those come up soonly on my list. All right, that was the knitting. I do not have any spinning. I had hoped this weekend to go and get a container that would work really well for my trindle for carrying it around, but since I didn't make it out of the house much, that still is on the to-do list. And then let's be a little geeky here. So I spent some time today I've spent some time the last few days looking at the CSS on my site. CSS is the language that you use when programming to make things styled pretty. So when you look at a web page, when it looks like it's got more detail than just black and white with the blue links, it's probably using CSS. And I love CSS. I was dubbed back in the day as CSS Goddess because I loved CSS that much. I did a lot of styling to Movable type blogs when I did volunteer support and when I worked for Six Apart. I was really good at making things look pretty. So I love when I get a chance to play with my styles. So on the Yarnings Podcast site, I added a little sidebar that has my details from my other sites. It's got little icons of my Instagram, tells what games I've recently played, links to all the newest posts and stuff. So now that sidebar is on the Yarnings site as well. And then I did a little touch up to my list of podcasts that I listened to with some of the new ones that I wasn't listening to back in August when I made the list last. And that was fun, and I got to style that a little bit as well because I can't just leave wellness alone. I think, I want to make that look better. So I did. So if you're looking for some new podcasts, I would suggest going out to the Yarnings Podcast site. Yarningspodcast.com/links will get you to the list. And I'll link that in the show notes too. So that was lots of fun. For girly today, I am wearing a scarf. Let's see this side. I'm wearing a scarf that I knit very early in my knitting career. I went back and looked, and it wasn't quite as early as I thought, but I had very, very early tried knitting with this. This was from my first Knit Picks order ever. And it just didn't work out. So I guess I waited a few years before I came back to it. So I did a very simple trellis lace pattern on this lace weight, and it curls under because at that point I was still not really knowing how stockinette is always going to curl under. But I really like how it looks as a headband with a bow in the back of my head. That is my preferred way of wearing this now, and if I stretch it a little, you can see the lace up there. And I think that's really fun. So a way to add a little girliness without much effort on a recovering from sick day. I am also wearing, for geeky bonus points, this is my Dr. Horrible Captain Hammer Out Homelessness Benefit Concert. And it says in little letters on the bottom, home is where your heart is, so your real home's in your chest. And that's a song from Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. Yes, I am definitely a Joss Whedon geek. All right. So in the kitchen, I cooked a little bit this last week. I made a delicious baked potato soup, and I will link to the recipe for that in the show notes. I did it pretty similar to how I've done it in the past, except I used chicken broth to make a roux rather than milk. It's a little bit healthier. And I always try and add sharp cheddar because I like sharp cheddar in my soup. And it makes a really nice, thick, almost casserole-y type of dish, and just delicious and perfect for cold, rainy days. I also made my sprinkle shortbread bites, which are cookies that are baked with a bunch of sprinkles in them. It's a shortbread recipe, and then I add sprinkles in to the dough. And this time I made them more fall-like by adding very finely chopped crystallized ginger and a little bit of cardamom. And then I bake them up and make them just little teeny tiny. I'll try and put a picture in here of them falling off of my baking sheet because they're so small. And then I brought those to Halloween. And that was a fun little treat. And tonight I'm making a tempeh recipe. It's got maple syrup in it, and it's nice, and it soaks all the flavor in, and yum. So I've been cooking a little bit. I like to cook in the fall. Something about it, just the warmth and getting to do that for me and my husband is a fun thing. Oh, and maybe I will make apple pear crisp tonight if I have enough time. That is on the plans. So I think that might be everything. My happy place right now is trying to carve out time in the nomenclature of Rebecca from the Fiber and Dice podcast. I am carving out time to get back into my photo challenges. So I do the Geeky Girl Knits photo a day challenge, and I do 100 happy days. And I have extended my 100 happy days from the original 100. I think I'm at 118 today that I need to post still. And the Geeky Girls have it on their blog. I'll link to that in the show notes. And so I do whatever the topic of the day is. I think today is thankful or grateful. And I love having that extra prompt that gives me a reminder to find something special that is happening in my life and being able to share that, because the knitting community contains some of my very dearest online friends, and some who have transcended online into people that I've met. And so getting to share my life, documenting my life that way is really a fun thing for me. And I just need sometimes that little extra push for topics that I want to post about. And that is a great thing. So if you've never followed along on a photo challenge like this, I would highly recommend it. It's a really worthwhile thing to do. I'm seeing some people posting 30 days of thankfulness for November, where they're posting 30 different things that they are thankful for over the course of the month. And I love that idea too. So you might give it a try, even if it's just for a week, a month, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Get involved in your knitting community, whatever size, shape it is. If you want to post some of them in the Yarnings forum, that's great too. So with that happy note, I will say goodbye until next time. You can find me as Christine with a K on Ravelry. I am KDLB on Instagram and Twitter. We have a Facebook page that I use to update. The Yarnings Podcast group on Ravelry is a great place to go and introduce yourself if you haven't already. We will be having another contest soon to kind of get people talking, and I will think of that and get that posted probably in the next episode or so. So until next time, that's the story.